So you had that entrepreneurial bug early on,
I did.
right?
I did.
And did it stay with you throughout, or did you have kind of some
Yeah,
in and out time?
it did. I mean, I think ultimately, there's that through line for me is sort of the entrepreneurship, and I think everyone has in their blood. It's just, can you sort of stick to it and have
Welcome
the
to Behind the Frame, where we go beyond the LinkedIn bios and Instagram highlight reels to talk about what really happens when you're building something from scratch. I'm Jay Duffy, co-founder of Frame Wealth Partners, business owner, husband, dad, and guy who still wonders if winging it counts as a legitimate growth strategy. Spoiler, it does sometimes. Join me and my amazing co-hosts, Morgan Watson and Annette Quigley, as we sit down with someone who's built a business or is knee-deep in the messy middle of it. And we talk about the real stuff, the pivots, the late nights, the wins no one celebrated, and the lessons no one warned them about. So grab a coffee or something stronger. We're going behind the frame. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. We have episode 24.
24.
We're getting there.
We may, another 24, we may know what we're doing.
Exactly. Well, welcome back. And today we have a pretty interesting guest today. I'm excited. I'm excited.
no pressure. No pressure. Say interesting. Don't know what you mean by that, but we'll find out.
But before we get started, Morgan, as we always do, let's start off with our weekend win.
Yeah, so it's a great weekend win. We just had Father's Day, but going right up to Father's Day, I was out on vacation. My brother and his wife have a place on Cape Cod up in Chatham, and we go up every June 15th. It's my mom's 91st birthday. So we all went up, the cousins went up. There's probably about 25 of us. This year, Mom didn't golf, so I didn't have to lose to an 90-month-year-old, which was kind of nice. That was another extra weekend win.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. It's it's amazing thinking what she's seen over 91 years and how everything's changed.
Yeah.
She travels by herself. She still cuts her own grass. I mean, she's super active. So it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good time. How about the Duffy house?
We have a bunch of different ones, but I think the one I'm most proud of, it was, I think it was last week. I'm asking the editing crew over here, because we did a video with the kids.
Yep.
So it'll come out probably over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And it's 17 minutes long. So just be prepared for it. A lot of bloopers in that, but we did a video with the children, and it was just the value of money. And I was actually shocked with kind of the responses. I thought I was going to get a lot of kooky answers, but really poised responses. And I love how our kids are kind of viewing money right now and understanding it a little bit more, and understanding that mommy spends a lot of money, so forth. So,
Did you ask him how much a car costs?
I did. You'll be surprised. My youngest thought it was $162.
Okay, yeah.
I said, so if you could find a car for $162, I more power to you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Winston, I'm gonna do your introduction, and then I'll give you some time to think about your weekend win.
All right. I guess you got two.
All right, great.
Good.
So today's guest has spent his career bringing people together, building businesses, and creating impact at scale. He's the founder of Lord Advisory, a trusted advisor to CEOs, entrepreneurs, public officials, professional athletes, and industry leaders. Prior to that, he founded Venga, a customer intelligence and CRM platform that helped restaurants better understand and engage with their guests. After growing the company through multiple rounds of capital raises and achieving profitability, Venga was acquired by Booking Holdings, I believe.
Yep.
And delivering a strong return to investors. Following the acquisition, Winston became the first chief evangelist at Open Table, helping lead initiatives that supported thousands of restaurants through one of the most challenging periods in hospitality history. So along the way, he's advised leaders across business, government, sports, and nonprofit organizations while becoming known as someone who can build relationships, create momentum, and bring big ideas to life. Winston, welcome to Behind the Frame.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know this is your opportunity, Jay. We need to welcome the Lord on the frame.
I know. We are here with the Lord.
Yes.
This is a Maryland-based broadcast.
Yes.
Most of your listeners, I think, are probably from around here. So
Yeah.
that's, you missed one important part of my career.
Yeah.
But I know why, because I helped bring Major League Baseball at DC, and I know Baltimore was not happy. Certainly, Peter Angelos, the litigating lawyer that he was not likely.
Yeah.
But no, this is awesome. Awesome. Just great to connect and love. I'm at this age now, 58, where I just love talking about all the wins and losses, more losses than wins along the way. And people that can help others and help others think about things. So just really honored to be here.
Awesome.
Excited.
How about for you? You said you had 2 weekend wins.
Yeah. So I'll start with my son, 10-year-old Levi,
Yeah.
sleepaway camp in North Carolina. Same one as my wife went to when she grew up.
Oh, nice.
He's there with his cousin. So it's the first time like he's
Holy
obviously,
day. Yeah.
overnight. So still waiting for that first letter from him. It's been 4 days, so we'll see if that actually happens. But the other big win really was the Knicks parade.
Yeah.
So huge Knicks fan. My dad's a huge Knicks fan, so is Levi now.
Yeah.
My dad's 88. He
Okay.
just had knee surgery and a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot.
Oh, yeah.
So when Knicks won, I was thinking about the parade, of course. It's like once in a lifetime. His doctor was like, I don't think you should be jostling around with, trying to, get a rebound.
Right.
It's like, KAT under the boards with 2 million fans.
Yeah.
So I put a plea on Facebook and said, hey, I've got this dad, and I've got a son, 3 generations. Anyone have a ticket, that overlooks Canyon of Heroes, which is the ticker tape parade area.
Yeah.
Day before, Business Insider, which is a magazine, online publication, said, hey, we've got a perfect spot. You guys want to do it? So we got it. They did a video of us, an interview of us. I'll share all the guys. You can put in the notes of this. It really tells the story of 3 generations and sort of just the idea of how something like that can just bring people together,
So
those are my 2 wins.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a lot about what you've helped build, but what I'd like to do is go back to young Winston.
Yeah.
Growing up, DC native, what was it like for you? Also, having a father that was, in the political realm. What was it like growing up?
Yeah, it was crazy. So my dad, diplomat for his whole life. My mom was an author. Growing up, my dad was busy all the time. And he was doing amazing work. He was working with Kissinger. He helped to open up China and all these amazing things. If you're interested in history, same name, so it makes it easy. Look him up. But incredibly proud of him. But he was traveling a lot and working a lot. Or Kissinger was the kind of boss who, if you went home before midnight, you were fired.
Yeah.
So
Hear that our employees we're not like that.
Right. It was a perfect work-life balance. That's the way I think about it. What's amazing now is he's the most amazing grandfather. And so he's very present. And I think a lot of things growing up, one was just, I don't have any real recollection of like him not being there. I mean, I remember him not being there for some birthdays and stuff, but it wasn't like I'm in therapy now, like we're my dad.
Yeah.
But I think seeing how he's become really present for the grandkids has always been a great model for me.
Yeah.
I think, we grew up in DC, but we moved to New York when I was 8. So one of the things as an entrepreneur I learned very early is people saying no or flipping you the finger. Think of New York in the 70s. Yes.
Yeah.
My first entrepreneurial thing was to sell cookies and milk outside my apartment in New York City. And I'm telling you, talk about, just continuing at it after getting about 500 no's from New Yorkers.
Wow.
It was kind of an inspiration. But I do remember one person that would always come every day and buy all the cookies for me.
Now, how old are you here?
22. That's it. Eight. Cool. But it just taught me loyalty as well too. So a lot of lessons early on that I learned. So I mean, it was a pretty interesting childhood. But I don't think it was anything different than anyone who's probably listening today.
Okay.
It's everyone has different parents and how they parent and stuff. I know I listened to some of the podcasts and I know Laura talked about her family and her parents and sort of the expectations there and helicopter parents and all that kind of stuff. Mine was great. My parents loved me, and it was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you had that entrepreneurial bug early on.
I did.
Right?
I did.
And did it stay with you throughout, or did you have kind of some in and out time?
It did. I mean, I think ultimately there's that through line for me is sort of the entrepreneurship. And I think everyone has in their blood. It's just, can you sort of stick to it and have the willingness to just get those no's repeatedly? Yeah. I transitioned to college. So one of the things I did during the summers, my mom sent me to typing school. So this is again before computers. Yeah. Right. So remember the Corona typewriters and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up getting certified to type 92 words a minute or something like that.
What?
So it
I
became,
was so excited about 70 words.
yeah, Zion 22. Yeah, yeah. But it was the way I made beer money in college because all my buddies didn't know how to type. I was like, I'll type your paper. I just need a case of PBR. So, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so entrepreneurship has always been sort of in my blood.
Yep.
Whether it's, work or whether the way I think about life. It's just the attitude. I think it's more about an attitude than it is like what stage a company is or who you are, what title you are. I think anyone can be an entrepreneur.
So your first real business was selling cookies and milk.
Yes.
What was the next business?
Like out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after college, I was not an entrepreneur. I worked for a political advertising firm. So this is again back in the 90s. And it was it was 8 years, did political work and non-political work. And I learned a ton there, a lot around storytelling, because a lot of what I do now is storytelling.
Right.
And, when you've got a 30-second ad and you've got to convince someone to vote for someone or not, you really have to distill that message in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience. Politics, I don't want to make this a political show, but it got way too political, and even in the 90s. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
So I decided to leave and start my own sort of advertising firm, focus more on issues that were not political. So a lot of nonprofits. Colin Powell had this youth organization called America's Promise. They were my first client. Radio Flyer. I don't know who here's had a Radio Flyer growing up.
Yep.
They're a client. Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And then one of my clients was this group of business leaders in DC that was asked by the mayor at the time to sort of advocate for bringing baseball back to DC. So I can get into that if you.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Great. So this was 1999. For the sports fans out here, baseball had left DC twice.
Yep.
And I was joking before about Peter Angelos, but not really. Like DC was considered Baltimore's territory.
Right.
And just the way that baseball works. And so the thought of bringing baseball to DC, no one ever thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And but the mayor really wanted to make it sort of a legacy transforming thing for the city. So I asked these business leaders. And originally it started as sort of a part-time executive director, maybe working, baseball come down every quarter to look at some potential sites and stuff like that. So it wasn't that intense. Fast forward to 2002, baseball bought the Montreal Expos with the idea of relocating them. And so it finally became like this serious thing. Okay, they're going to move it. Montreal had to get an average fan base of 8,000.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were like, 3 strikes and you're out with DC. There's no way you're going to bring baseball back here. Peter Angelos, you've already failed twice.
Yep.
And I would say, no, third time's a charm. And it took us, I'll short circuit this, but it took us 6 years, over $4 million, for site studies, for, marketing studies,
Sure.
all this kind of stuff. And, finally we're able to convince the city and baseball that DC was the right home.
Do you feel like the reason why it struggled so much before is because DC is kind of a transient city, like where people are more transplants there than natives?
100%.
Yeah.
I think, and that's absolutely it. And, it's changed dynamically. I don't know if have you guys been to DC lately?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing town now. It's all that so much. But back then, in those previous iterations, it was a government town. It was sort of everyone called it like the sleepy southern government town.
Yeah.
Which it primarily was. But I think when we started, even in the early 2000s, on this effort, DC had diversified in terms of what was available to people. And so sports just felt like a natural thing. And the DMV area had grown dramatically.
Right.
But it was still a tough, it was an amazing lesson because I was the only full-time person working on this effort.
Yeah.
And, we had an amazing group of investors, everyone from Colin Powell to Daryl Green, who's Hall of Fame at the Commanders,
Yeah.
to, President Bush's campaign manager, to President, this guy, Jeff Zients, who turned out to be President Biden's chief of staff. It was a non-political, it was just about the community.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what was so amazing. I learned so many lessons in terms of negotiating with baseball, but also listening.
Yeah.
Was something that I really learned in baseball, listening to the community, because there's a lot of people like, why spend this money for this when you should be spending it on schools, which I understand, but we
Right.
need to really let them understand, listen to them, but then also sort of talk about it. And because, that's my instinct too, is community and supporting schools and all that kind of stuff for sure. But I saw the vision of what baseball could do for communities.
Wow.
I think we've seen that.
No idea.
That's else.
So from there, how do you transition into kind of the technology, hospitality space? A little bit of a jump.
So I ended up working for one of those investors in baseball, this guy, Jeff Zients, who ended up becoming President Biden's chief of staff eventually. Private equity firm, small family office, really focused on business and healthcare services. And did that for a couple of years. He joined the Obama administration. And so then I started sort of my marketing firm again. And my friend came to me and talked about, you remember Groupon Living Social? They're still around. If they go about, the whole idea there was to give customers a deep discount, 50% or more to a place. And the talking point to the businesses was, hey, we're going to give a deep discount. They're going to come, they're going to love your place, and they're going to keep on coming back.
It's about getting them in the door.
Right. Getting them in the door. But once they're in the door, you're going to wow them. So they're going to come pay full price.
Yep.
That's not what happened. People would, like I would, you jump from one 50% off coupon for sushi and then go to find another 50% off coupon for sushi.
Exactly.
And so we came up with this idea of Venga, which was an app that was putting the restaurants themselves in charge of the marketing. So they could offer a 50% discount. They could talk about the fresh catch of the day. They could talk about the new wine they got, the kids menu, whatever it was, but they were in control of the messaging.
Right.
We were the sort of the amplifier. So we'd go to like Facebook, Twitter, to our app and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But the idea was that we're putting ourselves not in the seat of the customer, but in the seat of the restaurateur.
Right.
And it's, before diving into that full time, I said, before I want to commit to this, let me talk to some chefs. So I talked to 30, 40 chefs and restaurateurs to sort of understand what the pain points were.
Yep.
Yeah.
And essentially what we heard was, this Groupon Living Social story. And so we set out to do that. And boy, did we fail fast. Yeah. So what we ended up doing, we raised about $500,000 initially, friends and family.
Yeah.
And the idea was we were building an app that was geo-targeted. So you could fire up the app and see where you were and say, okay, I want Chinese food in Chinatown now.
Yeah.
And then all the restaurants that were on our platform would pop up with whatever specials they had. Oh, cool. So, we thought it was cool. We got developers out of India, worked, probably 8 months to develop this. I pitched the Washington Post to do a behind the scenes story of like technology and sort of see how a startup, grows and launches and all that kind of stuff. We launched a big party, the who's who of DC was there, right? I felt like Icarus.
Yeah.
I was flying so close to the sun. I was like, oh my God. We ended up getting a front page story on the Washington Post.
Yeah. I feel like
We had like I said, the who's who. The first night we got 10,000 downloads. So like, yes, we're fucking off to the races. Working after a year, right?
Right.
Within 2 weeks, I was like, holy shit. Me and my co-founder were like, because we were seeing the data and we saw people downloaded it, which is great, but people weren't using it. They weren't coming back.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we just spent $500,000, something that's going to fill out really quickly.
Wow.
And I think it's an important lesson is you just can't have ego when it comes to being an entrepreneur. You got to understand and pick up the signals. You may think it's something that people want, but until you know what they actually really need, you're not going to find that market, that product fit. And so we iterated probably 3 times until what we finally settled on to.
Okay.
But it was
what did you see as the big, differentiator what made the switch, for people to start utilizing the app?
Yeah. So we didn't have an app after 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So we completely changed. And again, it was, everyone talks about
That's a bold move too, just to make because you have this vision.
Yep.
That you like out. And like you said, you can have ego and say, hey, no, this is going to work.
Right.
But to make almost a complete shift to just get rid of an app.
You know, it's so interesting that I think to your point, we often see the difference between success and failure is, do you want to be right or you want to have the right answer?
Right.
And that's the big difference. Is so many times, again, to your point, I want to be right.
Yeah.
No, well, you may not be.
Right.
But if I can find the right answer, then I will be right.
Yep.
And that's really having that flexibility to see the differences and go, all right, we got to pivot.
It's critical. I like everyone says ABC, right? Always be closing. Yeah. I say ABL, always be listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's what it was, is, I did it back to baseball. I went into the community and listened. I found out who were the leaders in the community that others followed or looked up to. Really tried to understand what was needed in the community that the stadium was going to go, as opposed to saying, "Hey, we're going to come in and build fields and do this," right? It's about the listening. Same as with Venga. I started out with those 30 operators before I even decided to spend time on this, to listen of what was the opportunity out there at the time. We thought it was the app. We thought putting them in control of their marketing was the way to go. But, the B2B and B2C game at the same time, the idea of trying to get businesses on your platform while at the same time you're trying to get, customers to download the app is just impossible. I mean, when you're a startup, it's not a business you should go into. Because it's the chicken and the egg. Businesses want to know how many customers you have using the app and vice versa. You come up on this app. And we thought when we launched, we had, I think, like 300 restaurants. And we're like, pretty good, right? But if you think about it, if you go to even like Hunt Valley right here, right? Just the strip mall there's probably 30 restaurants there. Imagine having 2 of those 30 on your app and, no one's going to come back to that.
Yeah.
So, a lot of lessons learned, but I think what we ended up doing was, again, going back to listening. We talked to users. They said there's just not enough on there, and they went back to restaurateurs, and what they said, and this is where we pivoted the first time, is that it's all about the loyalty and bringing people back. And this is 15 years ago. It's all over now, but most of the businesses had punch cards for loyalty. Get that little punch in. You could come 9 times, get a ice cream cone, or whatever, appetizer, whatever it was. And no one had really started to digitize those and put it on your phone. So instead of having a wallet, like I don't remember George Costanza and he put that big wallet. Instead of doing that, you could put it on your phone, because the iPhones now with the apps and stuff like that. So we transitioned to doing loyalty. But in the key sauce there for us was, and again, my experience in hospitality up to that point was a bar back in Hilton Head for my fraternity brother. He hired me and then fired me 3 days later because I was, instead of stalking the bar, I was drinking the beer. So that was my style of hospitality. So again, it was all about listening. And what restaurateurs were telling us is like, there's all these promotions out there. But we just don't know which ones are actually bringing people in. We don't know how much they're spending and keeping them there too, and what's keeping them there. So the second iteration was to tie into the point of sale. You know what the point of sale is? And so for listeners that don't know it, it's what generates the check at a restaurant. Shows you how much you spent, what time you came in, who your server was, all that kind of stuff. And so that was we were the first to connect to the POS system.
Wow.
So you could do marketing campaigns for loyalty. And again, this was consumer facing too. Now explain why that was an issue and why we pivoted from that. But the idea is, a restaurant would sign up people for their loyalty program, and then we would keep track of it. But more importantly, we could send automated emails. So like if someone hadn't showed up in 30 days, they could send an automated email that said, come back and get a free order of dumplings or whatever it was. But what was great about it is ROI. We could measure the ROI. So we could say, okay, this email went to 500 people, 200 came in, average check spend was $52 or whatever, so like that was the breakthrough for the second sort of iteration of what we did.
Okay.
But again, that failed quickly too.
Really?
Because again, we still had to get customers. Even though we made it incumbent on the restaurant to attract the customers, right? We thought, that was the learning, is put them in control of the marketing to attract these guests. It still didn't work. And so the final pivot, I don't know if you know Jose Andres.
Yeah.
World Central Kitchen now.
Tremendous chef.
Tremendous chef from DC. His team told us, okay, the thing what you need for sort of restaurants to take reservations is using the reservation system like OpenTable or like Resi. I'm not sure if people are familiar with all of them now, but OpenTable was the big player at the time. Connect the guest information there with the point of sale. And the key there is people are already signing up for OpenTable, so they don't have to sign up for loyalty. So it's sort of behind the scenes loyalty.
Yeah.
And so we were able to sort of track people's spend and visit habits and use that a couple different ways. One for, the GM that, the CRM is up in his head usually.
You're right.
Now he would have information about, Morgan loves corner table and loves Pinot Noirs at the $100 price range, $500 price range. Jay loves, steak, blood rare.
Blood rare.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And so they could just tailor the experience based on that. But then again, going back to the marketing, they can market based on those preferences. So
That's cool.
before I had kids, if you sent me a kid's menu email from a restaurant, I'd unsubscribe. And you lose me forever because it wasn't relevant to me.
Right.
Now with 5 kids, that's all I look for.
That's all.
Yeah.
So like you could target based on those
That's
preferences.
smart.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I didn't even think.
So as you're growing this, let me ask you this.
Yep.
How much of your business success do you think would you attribute to skill versus relationships?
100%. Well, I shouldn't say 100, a vast majority of relationships.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think. And you can build relationships. I don't think it's, I think it's, you can learn ways to create relationships. And the key there is often being authentic. And the key is keeping those relationships warm when you don't have an ask.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned over time. Stephanie, my wife, and I joke. I'm front of house, she's back of house.
Yes.
I'm the relationship kind of person. I love talking to people. Sure. But to me, it's like it's a genuine interest. It's not like, what can you do for me? I'm not thinking about you when I sat next to you at the table, at the lunch at St. James. I wasn't thinking, I always got a podcast. I'm going to try and pitch myself to be on the podcast.
Right.
You just know about our podcast?
I did. I just have.
It's world renowned.
Exactly. So I think it's just relationships are very fragile. But if you do it right and you do it with intent, I think it's a great way to open doors, and it's a great way for the younger entrepreneurs to build.
And to your point, to do it consistently.
Yes.
Like I said.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Being a connector of people. I mean, there's a great book out there by Keith Ferrazzi. It's called Never Eat Alone. And his big statement was always, is your net worth is your network. And it's a whole all about a book about just building, strong relationships.
Yep. What do you guys think? I mean, like in terms of your business too, it's got to be relationships 100%, right? Or is most of it?
I mean,
We have no skill.
Face for radio. Although, no, this is face.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, but
no, definitely relationships, because trust is such, and you talk about loyalty too, but trust is such an important thing, especially when you're dealing with someone's financial well-being.
Yeah.
They want to know the numbers, but it's critical that you know them.
Right.
You know the context behind the numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know them as a person, not as a number.
Correct.
Or like client number
Absolutely.
22, all that kind of stuff. It's funny. Hospitality, right? That's sort of what I did for a long time. Everyone considers it industry.
Yeah.
It's not. Every industry should have hospitality.
Yeah.
Everyone should read Danny Meyer's book, Setting the Table.
Tremendous.
We read it.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
definitely,
Get a team thing on it.
Yeah. But it just talks about, hospitality in a way that should be attributed to everything.
every business should, and I don't know how you feel, but I just feel ever since kind of COVID, customer service level is so down.
Yeah.
That if you're just a little bit better, you look 100% better.
Right. It's a surprising delight. And that can be applied to, and it can be your dentist. It can be, it can be your wealth advisor. It can be just, little things that make people feel noticed and appreciated,
Absolutely.
So
So that brings a good point, kind of two of things earlier. We talked about, COVID and kind of the impact, and you're in the hospitality industry right in the heart of it.
Yes.
What did that really teach you, not just about kind of the hospitality industry, but really what did COVID bring broader sense kind of to your business acumen?
Yeah. Great question. So, we got acquired by Booking. So they're like the parent company for like Priceline.
And I want to come
Venga.
back to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Priceline, Kayak, and then Open Table as well. So I pitched them on this role, chief evangelist. I said, basically, send me around the world. Let me eat at good restaurants and, talk to a couple of restaurateurs along the way. And let me take my wife and my son at the time. And it'll be great.
Great pitch.
It worked. Luckily for a while. But no, kidding aside, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Did that, but then COVID happened, and so obviously that job disappears overnight.
Sure. Yeah.
I think by the time COVID hit in 2020, I think I already had like 20 trips planned for the year around the country and stuff like that. That just disappeared, and so hospitality was the hardest hit industry overnight.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable, as you all know. And everyone was trying to help restaurateurs with resources, webinars, white papers. How do you wipe down your table with Clorox correctly? I don't know if you remember those times.
Oh, I
It's
remember.
unbelievable.
I remember Megan spraying our groceries.
Yes. I remember going out to our package box and I'd like wipe it down with gloves. My hands were so dry and washed my hands so many times. But I was still talking to operators every day. And what I realized is they needed each other. No one was going to read a 10-page white paper.
Yeah.
So I pushed to do some Zooms. Said, look, we just need a Zoom where the restaurateurs can know they're in it together.
Yeah.
And they're not alone. And they had the same peers as everyone else. And everyone thinks hospitality is such a competitive industry, which it is, right? 'Cause the success of a restaurant is minuscule. So no one really thought that these would work. I was like, let me try. And so I sent an email to 20 operators. Within 30 minutes, 17 of them came back. And I said, look, I just want to do a peer roundtable where you're just talking, all that kind of stuff. 17 said yes right away. So the first one I did, I'll never forget. I'd sort of put my reputation online pushing for these. So I set it up, sort of welcome everyone. And we're recording these, right? Because we were sharing them with all the operators in the Open Table network.
Yeah.
And after my introduction, I was like, so how's everyone doing? 10 seconds of silence. The longest 10 seconds. It was probably like, felt like 20 minutes. Like, oh, fuck. Everyone's right. I was wrong. And then two guys and a woman started talking all at the same time. So it opened up. So as they each spoke. Third one who spoke, get his name, a chef from Louisiana.
Yeah.
250 pounds, face tattoo kind of guy, Times Square, 2 a.m, you want on your side. Yes. Never asked for anything in his life.
Yep.
Started crying. And he talked about he had a newborn daughter. And he was scared shitless to bring COVID home to her.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I knew we broke through.
Right.
And ended up doing 10 more of those. It was the most cathartic thing for me.
Oh yeah.
To see how we were all scared. I mean, that whole time.
Oh yeah.
It's you sort of forget about it, or maybe you don't. But it was cathartic for them. It was just a lifeline for them. Those were the words that they were using.
Yeah.
And so a long way of saying a lot of work I'm doing today is about building community. I saw in that moment what it meant to have peers and friends come together. And I think a lot of what we lost in this country because of COVID and politics and all this kind of stuff is
Create separation.
creating separation. And there's silos. Yeah.
We've got dear friends and clients that have a sushi restaurant here in Hunt Valley.
Which one?
Fusion. So
Yep.
John,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny, again, going through the COVID stage, how some terrible situations become huge situations. So pre-COVID, sushi was a restaurant, kind of a meal. You go to the restaurant, you eat it, everything's there.
Yeah.
COVID hits, you can't go to the restaurant. So they start doing takeout. Well, their business quadrupled and continues to this day. You go there Thursday, Friday, or Saturday at 6 o'clock, and there's 200 orders
Right.
to go.
Yep.
And, now then they're not stuck within the parameters of their restaurant seating space.
Yes.
So much of it goes. So they did a tremendous job of, all right, this is the hand we're dealt with.
Right.
How do we pivot and how do we make this work? And it was huge for them.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. One of the roundtables we did was around how do you redesign a restaurant to accommodate more take on delivery. And so you saw a lot of restaurants, it sounds like Fusion did the exact same thing. It's like had to totally change the layout of the restaurant.
They pivoted.
Yeah.
Big time. Going back to the sale of or being acquired, Venga being acquired, what was that process like?
Multiple starts and stops.
Yeah.
Walking away a couple
I
times.
feel like the business owners that are listening to this, they started a business with the objective of eventually selling business on the road for a multiple that's that sets them up for life.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah. So, OpenTable was a natural acquirer for us just because we had integrated with them, among others, but they were probably the primary one.
sure.
We had 3 dances with them for 5 years, 3 different CEOs. They had just gone through different CEOs.
Oh, well, jeez.
And the first one I'll never forget sort of did the whole like Kevin Spacey, like thing standing there, and he's like, the whole buy versus build argument that the choir is going to do that song and dance is like, your software is good, we like it, but we've determined we can build this in 12 months. So we're going to screw you and say you're only worth X multiple of so take that or leave it, because in a year you'll be out of business because we'll build it ourselves. So that was sort of the first iteration.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was nice. So, you gave us a little.
Don't the Christmas card us.
Yeah, exactly. And we walked away from that. They gave us some lowball offers and stop and all that sort of stuff. Stock turned out to be pretty good, so maybe we should have done that. But that's a different story. But so we walked away from that. Second time, different operator, sort of same attitude. It was sort of like the attitude of the second person was you're using OpenTable for your own business, and you're like using us.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're actually helping retention for you.
Yeah.
Because we're providing a service that you don't provide your restaurateurs, but they need to have OpenTable. So you, instead of looking at us as like someone who's like stealing your data,
Yeah.
you should be looking at it as someone who's helping, with retention. And again, it just didn't feel right. Third time, new CEO that came in, wined and dined us, called us the SEAL Team 6 of CRM for restaurants. And again, we knew most of it was a dog and pony kind of thing. You felt
Appreciate it.
appreciated it.
Yeah.
And, didn't do the typical, it did all the typical negotiating things, but again, in a way that was different. And I think ultimately, as you think about acquiring, like our goal was, acquiring was probably one of the goals around it, but it wasn't like that was always why we set out to do this.
Yeah.
We wanted to help restaurants. And if that meant that we were growing it and just keeping it ourselves, that's great. But for those thinking about acquirers, I think ultimately you've got to look at the team that is going to absorb you, and the culture is the right fit. Because a lot of times owners, people who get acquired are stuck there for a couple of years. That's just part of the agreement. And sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah, you want to enjoy those.
You want to enjoy it, right? Like you want to work hard. You want to sort of make sure it is what it is and whatnot. But I'm telling you, if we had been acquired the first 2 times, I would have left a lot of money on the table, because I can tell you right now, I would have left within 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it.
No, it's not.
And a lot of times they tie you up, so you feel obligated, and so you're going through this 2 years of like, oh shit.
Well, that's, phenomenal origin story. Thank you for sharing. We're going to move into our hot or not segment right now. So real simple, you tell us hot or not, feel free to elaborate. No sitting on the fence. First one, AI replacing customer service.
Not
No.
Fully remote companies.
hot.
Okay.
Do you want to tell me why?
Yeah, absolutely.
So AI, look, hospitality, like technology should enhance hospitality. It shouldn't replace it.
Yep.
In my opinion.
I agree.
Right. There's a lot of insights that you can glean. Again, a lot of the data that we were pulling is sort of what AI can do today. But at the end of the day, it's that human touch. It's the eye to eye contact. It's things of knowing how to use that AI in a way that feels genuine. So I'll give you one example. Actually, Dan Meyer helped us with this idea where we were able to integrate like open table LinkedIn profiles into our database.
Okay.
So we knew where people were from, kids, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And so the way that operators would use that is if they saw, Jay was from, where are you from originally? Right around here.
Yeah, right around here.
Yeah. So let's say you were visiting New York and Danny Meyer restaurant, and they see that you're from Maryland. They put a waiter who's from Maryland, Hunt Valley, let's say, on your table. But he's not coming up being like, "Hey Jay, I see you're from Hunt Valley." A little creepy, right?
Right.
But what he was trained to do is maybe casually mention, "Yeah, I just went home to Hunt Valley last weekend to visit my parents." And you're gonna be like, "Whoa," and then it creates that instant connection. Right? And so I think AI is amazing.
So smart.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why AI will never be. You can't manufacture that. You can't do that unless you're a real person.
Yeah.
Remote, I think 100%, 100%. I mean, I think there's a need for time to bond, and all the water cooler talk is critical. But at the end of the day, I'm of the belief that you've just got to trust your employees, right?
Yeah.
That I heard you talking about hiring fast and or firing fast and hiring slow, right? At the end of the day, if you're hiring and you're waiting that long to find that person, my litmus test was always hire slowly. But if they were hired by my competitor, would I be thinking about that a week later? And if I was,
That's a great way of looking at
I
it.
got to hire that person.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think this world today, you need to provide flexibility for people.
Sure.
To do things, and you got to trust them to do the work. And again, I always think about people, right? Some people are great at 8 o'clock at night after they've had dinner, put the kids to bed. They power through for 3 hours. Others are morning people. Laura talks about getting up about 5 in the morning, whatever. Everyone has their different mojo. And so I want to tap into, I don't want to tell you to work 9 to 5 if your best time is to work at 8.
Yeah.
If you're getting the work done for me,
Yeah.
and it's stellar work,
Yeah.
work at 8. I don't care. Play 18 holes of golf during the day. I really don't care.
Right.
As
long as it's getting done.
yeah. If it doesn't get done, then that's a different story.
Ray would like you to repeat that.
Yeah, a lot about golf.
Off middle of the day. Great.
Exactly.
How about, because again, it's a little bit different nowadays. I was thinking about how when you're going and talking to different chefs and networking in general, basically, what do you think about networking events in this day and age?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are a waste of time.
Yeah.
I think you should be at home working on your product,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of these events, and again, not every. I'm sort of overgeneralizing.
No, but we're right.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially like the ones that are for entrepreneurs, you think it can be every PCs. It's going to be their ultra high net worth guys going to be hanging out there. It's 100% just all of you looking for that one person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who's being chased down and hunted down,
Right.
and it's a waste of time. And it's sort of like, it feeds the ego. You're like, oh, I'm sort of being seen. I remember early on, another Icarus moment for us for Venga was we won how to start up in DC.
Yeah.
It's because I emailed 1,000 of my buddies and said, vote for us, right? I have no, it meant nothing except sort of like, oh, it made me feel good. Or showed us, and obviously there's probably some value to that. But I always tell people those mixers, that's not a good use of your time at all. You need to like focus on what you're doing, or focus on building real relationships that are going to matter down the road.
Yeah. Be productive. Don't be busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one other question, kind of piggybacking on that a little bit. Hiring friends.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Hot or not?
Yeah. I think let's go not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go not. I've seen, like I started Venga with a couple of friends, a colleague. Actually, my co-founder, I had 2 co-founders, a woman, and then this guy, Sam, who I worked with at the private equity firm before. He was a friend, but not like a close friend. I think those are the right people. When you know enough about them,
Okay.
you've seen them in the trenches, and you know what kind of mindset they have.
Yeah.
But they're not the buddy you're going out with every weekend.
So
I think-
emotional.
I think it's the straddling two. That's the ideal world, is finding someone because again, gut goes to a lot of this, and knowing are they good compliment to you. So
So when you look at hiring, is it more skill or attitude? What's more
attitude, you can teach skill. You can totally teach skill. You need to know, especially if you're an entrepreneur, someone will be there in the trenches. Is this something that they really, really care about? And because startups, like I said, the good ones iterate constantly.
Yeah.
They are thinking outside the box. They are listening to everyone around the table, not just the C-suite. We listen to the interns. I got a funny story about a bus I bought from Craigslist for $1,000. I can tell you about. But it, it's all about the attitude. And it's making sure that as a leader, you're allowing that attitude or whatever you thought about that person to sort of shine, and to let them be part of the table.
Yeah.
Can I tell this one Venga bus story quickly? So, like I said, originally we were trying to attract customers to download the app, and we had maybe I was given a $10,000 budget by my co-founder. So I was probably one too many beers. You know the Ramels, right? So one of Mike was a former bartender at a bar in DC that I used to go to, so that's how I know him. Back at the bar, Smith Point.
Okay.
So but
That's the one you had to be on the list.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yep. So I come home from there after a couple of beers and turn on the TV, and there's this music video called "We Like to Party." I don't know if you know. It was a one-hit wonder.
Yep.
The video is this.
I want the editing team that have a collective age of 45 to go and look up that song.
Yes, you have to. Maybe you can cut it into this the part of it.
We like the party.
But the whole video is people partying on a short bus. And so I go on Craigslist at 2:30 in the morning, and I buy a short bus in Maryland, Aberdeen, Maryland, for $1,000.
For $1,000.
For $1,000. Sounded like a great idea at the time. Get it, drive it in, show my co-founder. I've got the best PR idea ever. We're going to stuff this bus and break the Guinness Book of World Records for stuffing people in a bus. And we're going to get so much press. We're going to be on the Today Show and all this kind of stuff. And he was just like, what are you talking about? And the lawyer was like, no fucking way. We're not going to do that. Like the liability around that stuff. So I was like, okay, great. I got stuck with a $1,000 bus. What am I going to do? So I brought everyone in, including, I think we had 10 interns at the time.
Yeah.
And just to ask for ideas. And one intern, this woman from American University, said, hey, we're all about fruit. Instead of stuffing the bus with people, why don't we stuff it with food?
Yeah.
Turned into, we did a mobile farmer's market paired with the chefs that we had worked with to raise money for DC Central Kitchen, which is another outfit. We raised $15,000. We got people like, Ryan Zimmerman from the Nationals, Dale Green, Spike Mendelson, Top Chef, the late Hokey Roberts, Jonathan Carl, all to drive the bus, and we take pictures. We got more press out of that. Stuff in the bus with people.
All that because you listen to an
intern, right? They have different life stories than we do. They have a different perspective, and it's just, so that's, as it relates to sort of leadership and hiring, it's just like, listen to everyone. It's going to cost you maybe 20 seconds to listen to a stupid idea. I've got plenty of stupid ideas and people listen to me. So let others throw out their ideas because there's going to be a gem in there.
Oh, I love that. All right, we're going to move into our last segment, which is plead the fifth.
Okay.
I'll let you give the introduction.
Yeah, so we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. You don't know what they are.
Okay.
You can plead the fifth on one question.
Okay.
One question you don't have to answer. Everyone else you have to.
Okay.
Some will be easy. Some may be a little tougher.
Okay.
So we'll go right into it.
All right.
All right. Biggest business mistake you ever made?
Let's see. Trusting people too much. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's a life lesson, not necessarily a business mistake, but
Is that do you think that's part of your personality? Like,
I lead with trust.
I lead with trust.
And I lead with loyalty.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's sort of answer this question slightly different because it wasn't a mistake. It was sort of a lesson learned. So going back to baseball.
I was going to say, is that
Yeah.
Is
So
that
go
the story?
Yeah, so going back to baseball, worked on this effort to bring baseball. Baseball comes here. They actually didn't pick the ownership group for the year, for a whole year. So the first season, I had front row seats to the games.
Yeah.
And everyone was reaching out to me, and I was single at the time, so I was like, "Oh, who do I bring? Oh, the work buddies and all that kind of stuff." Um, it's 81 games, or whatever. I went to literally every one. It was my job. So, but the day they announced who the owner was, it was amazing to see who reached out to me and who didn't.
Yeah.
So I had some friends that never taken to a baseball game.
Yeah.
But just sent me a text or called me up and say, "Hey, dude, I know you spent 6 years of your life, a quarter of your life on this effort. I know how much that meant to you. I'm really sorry. You guys deserved it," or whatever. And some people, I remember one guy, I'm not going to mention him, John, but who I kicked to probably 10 games, and, I never heard from him. And it's just like, so it's not really a business lesson, but it's a lesson in going back to relationships and trust. I think leading with trust is always, I'm not going to change that,
No.
but I'm just,
Well, you're changing yourself then.
yeah, but I'm learning on how do
You
I,
got to have some safety features.
yeah,
built in.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
How about worst hire?
Mm. Yeah. Worst hire was a fast hire, because we had a spot that needed filling. A woman who
There was someone that could fog a mirror.
was that,
There was someone that could fog a mirror. Yeah.
exactly.
I've been there.
And, everyone can overperform. I think we can talk about that in your previous podcasts and stuff like that. And on paper, amazing, interviewed great, but just was not doing the work.
Right.
And it was pretty clear after the first week. And it was really tough because the role was to be like our customer relationship manager, to stay in contact with the restaurants and sort of make sure everything was going right. And it was one of those things where you get swept up by the resume, you get swept up by the interview.
Yeah.
And that's why that was the biggest, that's where I really learned to hire slowly.
Yeah.
I knew that in my gut, but I was like, oh my God, but this is the exception. There's no exception.
There's no
There's no exception.
No.
I think that's you and I are very similar that way. I like everyone initially. I trust everyone initially, and then I literally have to go and give it to Morgan. I was like, "Tell me every why," because I want to believe. Because when you think about it, that initial interview with anyone, that's the best self they'll ever give you.
Right. Totally.
Because everything from there is downhill.
Right. Yep.
The first time that they're late, the first time that they mess up an assignment, it just doesn't get better.
Right.
You're going to show your best self in that
100%.
interview.
100%.
So, most, I like this one. Most expensive lesson.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to Venga, the app, a feature that we felt would work was we called the Pandora for food. And so the idea was just like Pandora or Spotify works today, like it knows your listening habits, but also knows your friends' listening habits to curate
Your own.
just your own mix, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, let's bring that to food. Let's, have this feature on the app that says, I'm in the mood for, Italian in Georgetown. And it will take all the data from all the friends that use the app as well to come up with the recommendations. Right. Well, that works if you've got 1 million people on the app. It doesn't work when you got 10,000 that aren't using it. So we literally delayed launching for 3 months, spent the last 200 of that 150 of that to build that feature because at the time it was pretty intense to build that, and we shut that off in the first, I think, 12 days.
Oh my goodness.
Because no one was using it, and so it was prominent too. It was like one of the first things like this. So we had to get rid of it, and so that was. That took all of our money. It was that was the big, we were like, that's the differentiator to what this app is to anything else out there.
Oh yeah.
Oh
my goodness.
So yeah,
that's an expensive lesson.
It is.
Most overrated business advice.
I think it goes back to always be closing. I mean, I think that's important and certainly, but I think, and I shouldn't say that's overrated. overused. Overused.
Yeah.
And not that you shouldn't have someone who has a mentality on your team. You should. But as you think about your sales team, I think you need to have different people doing different things, right? Because there's relationship selling, which is the slowest and worst return in terms of selling when you're doing it off relationships. But so you need to build your pipeline in different ways with different types of salespeople.
Yeah.
Right. Because everyone on the other side is can have a different personality, different needs and all that kind of stuff. So I think as you build that, it's not one size fits all. It's not always be closing.
I think I may know your answer on this, but biggest blind spot leaders have today.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to listening, I think.
Is that that's where I felt like you were gonna.
But I think I don't want to be repeating the same things. But I think it's just so important. I think in this world right now that we're in, just leaning into being curious.
Yeah.
And listening, right? There's a lot of leaders that are relying on AI these days, or the poly markets or whatever it is to sort of figure out what the trends are.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you're not there on the ground listening yourself, then you're missing something. I don't know if you know Courtney and Carter Reed. So they started Vive,
Okay.
which was an acai, is that
Acai.
acai infused vodka.
Yeah.
And they talk a lot about this. There's another great book they've got, Shortcut Your Startup.
Okay.
A good book. I'm actually reading it again. Or listen to the Audible. But they talk about that. It's just that they weren't in the liquor business before, but they got so much value. I was just going and listening to the bartenders and how they're selling, their vodka and stuff like that. So I think it's the listening.
Biggest either red flag or unidentified trait of hires that fail. What are you looking for to what's that, that maybe not so obvious danger mouse, so to speak, when you're hiring people into the organization that you really try to find?
That tells me not to hire them? Or
Correct. To not hire.
The warning signals. Yeah. Smooth.
Okay.
Someone who's just too smooth, right? Your gut tells you just in real life, if someone's smooth, there's something, what's behind that.
Right. Yep.
And so, and smooth can be a lot of things, but I think at the end of the day, it's someone who just comes in and knows the topic, right? And maybe very knowledgeable or from the industry, but you can just tell like there's a sense of where it's just like a performance. And that's sort of that hire I was talking about before is all performance. Talked a great game, had the story, turns out she's now a very successful content creator, and that's perfect for her. So it's all about performance, but not when you need to get the work done.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I got one more. Do you?
No, I'm good.
Do you have one more?
No, sir.
Okay. Biggest impulse purchase.
That Venga bus.
Coming full circle on the Venga bus. I love it. Well, Winston, I really, really want to thank you for being on the podcast. I have one final question for you. What is one piece of advice you would like to leave our listeners that probably is had the biggest impact on your life?
Without a doubt, one of my mentors, this guy Jeff Zines, told me to run towards criticism, and I think the whole idea of helping grow someone is helping them understand that when you're giving them feedback, that it's because you believe in them.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're criticizing it. And I think that's really important. And I think it's sort of a leadership trait that you need to have. And so, I thought for the longest of time that I was running towards criticism. Everyone's like, oh, I'll take feedback and all that kind of stuff. But you're not. You're not really listening to what the other person is saying.
Yeah.
And so, I met him in baseball. Baseball was my world. It was not his.
Yeah.
I felt very confident as to, the advice I was giving and all that kind of stuff. I then went over to private equity, his world, which was not my world. And I felt very intimidated and all that kind of stuff. But I remember he would always sort of give me really good feedback, but in a way that I knew he believed in me. And I think that's so critical. And I think it's so important. I just did a talk the other day with a company on, the one-on-ones, and giving feedback and everything like that.
Yeah.
And the thing that frustrates me the most is when someone, your boss does one-on-ones with the one-on-ones or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but always cancels it, right? Or always schedules over that.
Shows it's not
It
important.
shows not important to them. And it's just the loudest signal that says, I don't care about you as a person.
Yeah.
It's a small thing like that. So I think the run towards criticism is,
I love that message. What you said also, when someone is providing feedback, how they actually care. It reminds me of my coach. He'd always say, "Start worrying when I don't yell at you,"
right.
because he's like, I've given up. I can't change you.
Right.
Morgan says the same thing. Serves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in kind of radical transparency.
Yeah.
Ray Dalio, and and to Jay's point, if I tell you what you want to hear,
Right.
care about me,
Right.
right? But if I tell you what I think you need to hear,
Yep.
and even at the risk of you not liking me,
Right.
then that means I care about you.
100%.
And I think if you can kind of go into that with that mindset, you'll hear things completely.
Yep. No, it's proven time and time again for me, and it's just the most important thing. I mean, it really is to this day.
Yes. Well, Winston, thank you so much. Just a great treat of advice. It's been awesome. That's it for episode 24. See you guys.
Thank y'all.